This is Special Prosecutor Larry Klayman.
I'm the only lawyer ever to obtain a court ruling that a president of the United States committed a crime.
For truth. For competition.
As a young lawyer, I helped break up AT&T. That's why you have all your cell phones today.
For sovereignty. For the Republic.
I'm the guy who, at Judicial Watch, which I founded, uncovered the Chinagate scandal. Millions of dollars going to the Clinton campaign, corrupting our political system.
For the privacy of citizens.
And I'm the only guy to have enjoined the National Security Agency from mass surveillance on hundreds of millions of Americans.
Tearing it up.
I'm the son of meatpackers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I know how to slice and dice.
Bringing it back.
We're going to take this country apart and put it back together again in the way envisioned by our founding fathers.
It's not just talk.
We're not just regurgitating news stories. Larry Klayman, special prosecutor, is making the news.
And now, here's Larry.
Welcome to this edition of Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman. I always say a very important show. No, it's not just important. We're in a crisis. We're in an emergency. We're in a pandemic. It is affecting everything that we do in this country from top to bottom as we speak. Even the Masters golf tournament has been postponed or canceled. You've got the NCAA Final Fours with the tournament and everything. You've got Disney World. You've got Disneyland. You've got Universal. You've got everything canceled in this country, okay? Everything because of the coronavirus, COVID-19. Now, I want to go back here, and I want to talk about how this started. There are a number of reports, and they would, to me, seem to be accurate and make sense, that there's a bioweapons laboratory in Wuhan, China. That's W-U-H-A-N, Wuhan, China. They've had leaks before. And it's most likely that the Chinese, the ChiComs, and I might add, the Chinese are a good people. It's their government in China that are bad. They have leaked information before, and they've leaked bioweapons from that lab. It's not the first time this has happened, but now it's in a major way. And it's affecting the United States. It's affecting the world. Now, I have to ask myself this question. You know, I'm the one who brought lawsuits 4 and 5 years ago against Obama's National Security Agency, the CIA, and others for illegal mass surveillance on the American people. We have tremendous surveillance capabilities. We have capabilities with regard to the telephone, emails, text, satellite communications. We pick up everything on the ground. We know what's going on in China. The ChiComs are our enemy. They're building up a military second to none. It's equal to our own at this point. In fact, they've stolen our technology, but they're very bright people. They've advanced in many other ways. They have weapons we don't even have. But why is it that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, was not given any kind of advance warning that would appear? Why is it he was caught flat-footed? Is it because that this deep state intel agencies, which still have the minions of former CIA Director John Brennan, the minions of former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, who lied to Congress under oath about this mass surveillance, Brennan, who hates the president, having failed with regard to the Russian witch hunt, having failed with regard to the Ukrainian witch hunt, having failed with regard to impeachment and conviction in the U.S. Senate to remove this president, could it be that the intelligence agencies, which are dominated by the left, dominated by Obama types, by Clinton types, like Brennan and Clapper, they're still there. Their people are still there. That's the deep state. Could it be that they withheld this information to allow this crisis to come upon the United States such that it would severely affect, if not destroy, our economy? We see the stock market crashing, sometimes 2,000 points a day. It's lost 30% of its value just in the last few weeks. We see businesses being shut down. We see people not being able to go out of their homes, people losing their jobs. The airlines, for instance, are being ground nearly to a halt. People are being laid off. The cruise industry is dead. It's done. Okay, everything's done. You know, child daycare. Kids aren't going to send their kids to daycare anymore. That's not going to happen. It ripples throughout the entire economy and our way of life. And why is it that the president did not get the word sooner? I believe that these deep state intelligence agencies, the CIA, the National Security Agency, the FBI, which is run by people who are hostile to the president, and, of course, the Director of National Intelligence, that they withheld this information to weaken him, to get him out. And, of course, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, Adam Schiff, Gerald Nadler, they love what's going on right now because this is going to weaken the president. I'll tell you something. His reelection, as it stands right now, is less than 50-50 because the people that are in charge, they're always blamed, whether it's Katrina, hurricane, or Hurricane Andrew, or, whatever natural disaster, the buck stops on the president's desk. So they're trying to set him up so he will lose. But that notwithstanding, there's a more important issue right now. Of course, we have to support our president, our great president. He's not perfect, but he's the best that we've got. And he's doing what he thinks is right. But we need to hold the communist Chinese accountable. Again, not the Chinese people, but the government. They've caused tremendous damage here in the United States. Damage in terms of health. If, in fact, you've contracted it or you've been exposed to it, you've got damage. Your businesses, if they're being shut down or curtailed, damage. Your way of life, if you've been laid off from work, damage. This is the kind of thing that needs to be addressed. Now, we have in front of Congress right now, and it's probably going to pass, a bailout bill, so to speak, kind of like TARP, but even worse. We've already got a deficit in the high 20 trillions of dollars. This country's going bankrupt. The Chinese are bankrupting our country right now. And why is it that the American taxpayer now is being asked to foot the bill? This bill is probably going to be passed by both Democrats and Republicans because they panic. The president will probably be forced to sign it for political purposes. Now, some of the help, the federal help, can be warranted, but it's going way beyond that. It's going into every aspect of the economy. It's going to cost trillions of dollars in the end, and we'll be bankrupt even if we are successfully fight against this coronavirus and lick it. And I also want to know this. Why is it that we're being told by our so-called government? I don't believe a word the government says anymore. I don't care. They've lied to us in my lifetime since the Vietnam War. President Johnson got us into that with the Gulf of Tonkin. They lied to us about Iraq. They lied to us about this. They lied to us about that. They constantly lie to us. They cannot be trusted. But why is it that the American taxpayer has been forced to pay for this? Take Iraq, for instance, okay, weapons of mass destruction. The CIA lied about that. Saddam Hussein had no weapons of mass destruction. So we went in there. We've lost a lot of lives over the last 16 or so years. Now I think it's going on 17, both in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And who paid for that? The American taxpayer. President asked the question, President Trump, during the 2016 elections, why don't we use the Iraqi oil to pay for it? But no one had the guts to do it. Not the establishment Democrats, not the establishment Republicans. They're flip sides of the same coin. They're black and white, but they're flip sides of the same coin. It's part of the establishment. Why is it? And I criticize the president for this too. Among the few things that I am critical, why is it that Mexico isn't paying for the wall? He promised that. So we don't need to pay for these things. So here's my remedy. Biological weapons of mass destruction are outlawed by the Geneva Convention. They're also outlawed by many other international conventions. To produce them and to allow them to leak is a terrorist act, in effect. There is no immunity for that. We can bring lawsuits, class action lawsuits, on behalf of the American people, for those who have been exposed to this virus, those who have contracted it, those whose business is harmed, those whose daily livelihood and way of life is harmed, the emotional damage as well. And I'm preparing, as we speak, a class action lawsuit. If you want to join that case, we'll consider adding you into it. Contact me at LeClayman, Klayman, at gmail.com. Larry Elliott Clayman at gmail.com. We're preparing it as we speak. We're going to file it in the next few days. We're going to be the mouse that roared. We're going to be your Justice Department. Do not expect our Justice Department to step in. Look at Bill Barr, our so-called Attorney General, as worthless as Jeff Sessions. He can't even indict Comey or McCabe or anybody else. He's scared of his shadow. He's part of the establishment, the Republican establishment. We'll find the Justice Department when we bring this lawsuit coming in defending the Chinese because they won't even respond to it. Believe me, 100%. I stake everything on that. So we, the people, need to rise up. We need to bring the case. The Chinese have trillions of dollars in assets in our banks, invested in our various other institutions. We can get a damage claim enforced against the money that they have here in the United States. Let's pay for this damage, what's being done to you, the American people, through the Chinese. Let's bring the Chinese to their economic knees. Let's make them pay. Talk about trade wars. Make them pay. They've behaved unfairly in terms of trade, in terms of the way they manipulate their currency. Make them pay. The way they steal our technology, the ChiComs. Let's do that. So I want you to join Freedom Watch. It's going to be expensive. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Contribute to this. We have to have the resources. We need to hire more people. We need to bring this case. I'm going to list a team of lawyers throughout the country to do this. It's not just going to be me. We're going to do it. And I need your help. So go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our cause. I'm also going to tell you what I'm doing in terms of uncovering the lying and corruption inside our deep intelligence agencies. Share this radio show. Share it with everybody. Listen to our daily podcasts. Share it. Social media won't do it. I'm limited on YouTube. I'm limited on all these other. They do that with conservatives. You share it. You can find it at freedomwatchusa.org, Spotify, iTunes, Patreon, Amazon Fire, Roku, Facebook. Share it. Get the word out. The clarion call, a legal call to arms. And join me at freedomwatchusa.org. I'll be right back with the second segment of Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman. Listen intently and share the show to everybody you know because the social media won't do it. We have to do it for ourselves. I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Dangerous.
You don't hear, he uses the court and the law.
Lethal.
This is bad.
Special Prosecutor
Very bad.
Larry Klayman.
If you'd like to support Freedom Watch and this radio show, go to freedomwatchusa.org.
Now, as I've always said, Larry Klayman and Freedom Watch just don't get documents. Okay, documents are nice. Okay, you could use them as evidence if you actually bring hard-hitting lawsuits. But we're really the only public interest group that does that. You know, I'm not interested in going on Hannity. I'm not interested in going on Lou Dobbs. I'm not interested in going on any cable show. I'm interested in results. I'm 68 years old. Okay, actually, I'm in the group of people that could be most affected the worst way by COVID-19. But that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do, because someone has to put their foot forward and do it. Now, I've taken on these intelligence agencies in the past. They've in fact, been surveilling me. I know that. They surveil my clients. I got 2 preliminary injunctions against them. I was the lead plaintiff. The landmark case of Klayman versus Obama gave rise to 2 preliminary injunctions where the judge held that this mass surveillance on the American people without probable cause, that a crime was being committed or there was communications with terrorist interests or terrorists, that was unconstitutional, almost Orwellian, as the judge put it, before he got cold feet. And I believe the intel agencies leaned on him and threatened him. We have reason to believe that he was surveilled as well. But I have no fear here. We have to do it. Our founding fathers, pledged their lives, sacred fortune, and honor to found a new nation. The least we can do peacefully and legally is to bring lawsuits against these intelligence agencies. Now, I have filed Freedom of Information Act requests through Freedom Watch this week to get to the bottom of what the intelligence agencies knew and when did they know it. Because they did not serve the American people. They're serving their own political interests, their own deep state, leftist, pro-Democrat interests, their pro-Obama, pro-Clinton interests to remove this president by painting him into a corner, by having the stock market in effect collapse, because holding this back, delayed our preparation time for this. The president could have had travel bans in effect a lot sooner if he had had word. We could have kept people out that are spreading this virus. But he got it late. Why did he get it late? You're going to tell me with our satellite capabilities and our ability to intercept telephone and internet and everything else that our intelligence agencies didn't know? Sure they knew, but they set the president up because they want him to fail. They want him to lose the next election. So we're going to hold them accountable as well, just as I held them accountable before, twice in the past. And I need your help to do it. You've got to go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our Justice League. I'm giving you a hard sell, but it's for your own benefit. It's for the health of you and the welfare of your family that we, the people, rise up. The government isn't going to do it. Sorry. We're in Armageddon right now, and the government is, as usual, incompetent and being controlled by forces that go beyond the president. There's a government which is more powerful than the president of the United States. It's these intelligence agencies, and it's the rest of the deep state, which want us all to go down the drain. So call us. Call Larry Klayman. Call others by going on our website, a call to arms. Legal arms, peaceful arms at freedomwatchusa.org. Now, you also have to wonder, we're religious people, okay? We are Judeo-Christian people by and large. This is our legal system. It was developed from that. And, there have been various incidents like this and plagues and whatever throughout the history of this world. And you have to ask the question, if God isn't playing some role in teaching us a lesson to sober up. I'll tell you something. All this stuff that goes on with regard to witch hunts and everything else, we took our eye off the ball, just like we took our eye off the ball with Monica Lewinsky, which wasn't the most important scandal during the Clinton era. And as that happened, Osama bin Laden was building up force, and you saw what happened on 9/11. So could it be, I pose this question, God is teaching us a lesson as he has taught the people of Sodom and Gomorrah a lesson, as he taught the people of Egypt a lesson in Passover, when the firstborn of each Egyptian, the son, was sacrificed to let our people go, to go into the land of Israel. I raise this question because it seems to me that the way this country's been going and the way the world's been going, God needs to teach us a lesson. So let's get something out of this, not just make the Chinese pay, but let's get our act together in the future and start working together as one and restore morality and ethics under our Judeo-Christian system, not the Islamic system, okay? Under our Judeo-Christian system, which believes in the Ten Commandments, which believes in not lying, which believes in not bearing false witness, and those kinds of things. So this is another lesson that we're going to be taught and something that I'm going to try to educate. I'm going to be right back with Jason Goodman of Crowdsource the Truth. Jason is a great person. He has a website that I use frequently to get the word out to the American people. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, join our Justice League, contribute to this cause. We are in a deep, deep crisis. I'll be right back.
And now, 4 words that make corrupt politicians make wee-wee in their little pants.
Transparency and the rule of law will be the touchstones of this presidency.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Special Prosecutor Larry Klayman.
Be the one who makes our country great again. Go to freedomwatchusa.org and donate.
I'm back with my very good friend, an American patriot, the proprietor, the owner, the president of Crowdsource the Truth that I appear on frequently, someone who allows me to tell the truth. And that's very important today because you don't get it on the cable networks. You don't get it on Fox. You don't get it on MSNBC. You don't get it on CNN. Everything's couched. It's the same people time in and time out. Pie in the sty, rosy. On Fox News itself, they did a great disservice for quite a while through Hannity, through others that were saying that this coronavirus is nothing, that it's not important, that it's no worse than the flu, that kind of thing. You know what? Perceptions are reality, whether it is or it isn't. The fact is the country and the world now is in a crisis. It's collapsing. The stock market's collapsing. Our economic well-being's collapsing. Our emotional, fiber is collapsing. Everything's shutting down. We are in a serious, serious crisis. So regardless of what you think It was not a service for Rush Limbaugh. It was not a service for Hannity. It was not for others to poo-poo this. No. And I love Rush. I don't like Hannity, but I love Rush. But it wasn't the right thing to do. And ironically, Rush himself is most at risk because he's going through cancer therapy now. And that's very vulnerable. But I want to get Jason's take on this in terms, and I don't ask him to agree with me, but the state of the country right now, Jason, where are we from your perspective? Things seem to be going south in a hurry. And in the first two segments of the show, I not only raised the fact, in my view, that the intelligence agencies withheld intelligence, although they have the mass surveillance capabilities that they've trained on the American people in the past, they didn't give the president sufficient warning such that he could put travel bans into effect sooner, so he could insulate us. Now it's taking off like wildfire, if not in terms of infections and in terms of the way companies and entities are shutting down and people are losing their jobs in the travel industry and elsewhere. So, this is number one. But number two is the simple fact that perception becomes a reality. And whether this is simple panic or whether it's for real, we have to deal with it. So, Jason, I want to hear your thoughts on this because you're always a very candid person. You're very articulate, and I respect what you have to say.
Thank you, Larry. I mean, I think you nailed it in terms of perception being reality. Whether coronavirus is a threat to an individual or a family member has become irrelevant because, I walked into the highest selling Whole Foods in the country here in Manhattan, and it was picked through. It looked like a post-nuclear war type run on the supermarket where you can't buy toilet paper, forget about cleaning products. I mean, things like eggs and milk. I spoke to one of the employees at Whole Foods, and I asked her why is there so few items, because it was remarkable. And she said that the truck deliveries continue to come at their regular pace, but people are buying the place out so quickly that they just can't replenish it fast enough. And what that indicates to me is that this problem is going to increase because they're just not going to be able to keep up with the demand that people have.
It gets worse and worse every day. I mean, just today,
right.
We had the PGA Tour shut down, and they play outside. Okay, we've been told that outside's much less of a risk, the pro golfers and such. Even the Masters has postponed. That's the most famous tournament of all. Bobby Jones, my former colleague way before me at Emory Law School, he was an amateur. He won every major event. He formed the Masters in Augusta National. And, got Disneyland shutting down, Universal, you've got cruise ships, you've got every aspect of our life. People are being told in Los Angeles to work from home, in Washington, D.C., in other major cities. No one knows what's going on. And there's panic. And the stock market's crashing at 2,000 points a day. Okay. And, it's lost 30% of its value just in the last several days. So, this is the reality that we face, and what I'm proposing to do is the American people need to rise up. Just like with Iraq, I said this earlier. I said, why did we have to pay for the Iraq war? Why do we have to pay for the rebuilding of Iraq and Afghanistan? Why didn't oil assets in Iraq and the Middle East pay for that? The president raised that proposition during the 2016 presidential campaign. He also was going to have Mexico pay for the wall. Why do we have to pay for the wall? We've got leverage with that. So I urge him not to sign any bill that bankrupts this country in a major way. Yeah, there needs to be some financial help. But what they're proposing right now, Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the leftist Dems, they want to use this as an opportunity to socialize, if not communize, this country by emptying out the purses of American taxpayers, by going into wealth distribution to people. They're proposing to give money to people that are even out of work, that had no job to begin with. It's unbelievable. So this is what we're dealing with. So this class action lawsuit that I'm proposing, and I'm preparing as we speak, it'll be done today, and it'll be filed in the next few days. And I'm asking people to contact me at leclayman@gmail.com. That's Larry Elliott Clayman, Klayman, @gmail.com, and off our website, freedomwatchusa.org. If we'll consider putting you in that lawsuit, I hope you'll get the word out too, Jason, is that the American people need to have the ChiComs, the Communist Chinese, pay for it. The Chinese are good people. It's not the Chinese people. Look at the hardworking Chinese people in this country, who work diligently and are patriotic. they fled the tyranny in China or even in Taiwan, where they had a dictatorship under Chiang Kai-shek for a long time. This is a situation that we need to rise up ourselves, and we cannot depend on our worthless Justice Department to do it. You know, he can't even indict Comey, Bill Barr. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Terrible.
And when we file this lawsuit, 100%, you're going to find the Justice Department in there defending the communist Chinese. Believe me, you'll find that. And the president has no control over his own Justice Department. They'd like him out, too. Look at the FBI, what they did with Fusion GPS and Steele dossiers. So, Jason, give me your thoughts on this. I know I'm spewing, but we need the financial support. It's going to be really expensive. I'm going to list a team of lawyers throughout the country. It's not just going to be Larry Klayman. And we're going to hold the Chinese accountable. They got trillions of assets in our banks and financial institutions and elsewhere. And we're going to attach those assets. We're going to make them pay. We're going to put them to their knees for what they have done to the country and the rest of the world.
Well, Larry, I would ask you to consider including some of the mainstream news outlets in this lawsuit because, again, whether the threat of coronavirus and becoming ill from coronavirus is real or not, it's being so amplified by the fake news that can be attributed to almost any of the things that you were just talking about. Like right now, on Drudge Report, they're re-reporting information coming from the Daily Mail and the Telegraph out of the UK that Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil, has tested positive for coronavirus after meeting with Trump. Now, the interesting thing is, when you look at Globo, which is basically the CNN and CBS, that's the biggest news outlet in Brazil, they don't say anything about Bolsonaro having coronavirus. There's apparently some press person who's associated with Bolsonaro who maybe had it, but I saw some medical experts speaking to Lester Holt yesterday that there's one service in the United States that's analyzing all the tests. I forget if he said it was the National Institute of Health or the CDC or something, but that's amazing to me that we don't have in-hospital testing or at least Quest Labs or wherever you can get these tests turned around in 24 hours or shorter. To me, accurate testing is very important because it does not appear from what's being reported in Brazil that the president of the country, you would think that would be the biggest news in Brazil if their president had coronavirus.
Well, it would be. And, you know, it also raises another question. The president met with the president of Brazil. President Trump understandably does not want to take a test. Suppose he tests positive. The Democrats will use that as an excuse to get him to step down, you see? And so it's in a catch-22. Everything is spiraling. It's mushrooming. Pence, too, he was exposed along with the president as well at CPAC, okay, the Conservative Political Action
that's their
Committee.
Plan, Larry. I'm convinced that's their plan, that they started building this narrative that Trump and Pence have been around people who have coronavirus. And, I mean, this, I think, again, real or perceived threat from the virus itself, there is a politically driven narrative that is being foisted on the American people, and that is causing the panic.
Well, and behind all of this, okay, is a socialist, communist, radical Muslim, radical leftist cabal, okay? And, you know, Bernie Sanders has been relegated to the ash heap of history. This despicable, self-hating, vile Jew, and I'm Jewish, and so are you, okay? Yeah. But he is the biggest disgrace to our people since Karl Marx, and he is a Marxian. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it, you know. And he's been disgraced. So has Ilham Omar. So has Rashida Tlaib. So has Linda Sarsour, and all of these radical Muslims that hate Jews and Christians along with him. But they have one thing in common: they want this country to turn socialist and communist, and in that way they'll destroy the country. So they failed so far. Bernie Sanders has failed at the ballot box. He's now on the ash heap of history. They failed with the Russian witch hunt. They failed with the Ukrainian witch hunt. They failed with impeachment. They failed with conviction in the Senate. So now they're going to use this coronavirus to take the president out, to seize control of this country. And when there's chaos in the streets, and it's close to that point, when there's anarchy, that's how the Bolsheviks took control in Russia, you know, with the Tsar.
That's right.
Then they started fighting with each other.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, the Red Russians and the White Russians, okay, started fighting with each other. And all of these radical groups, a lot of them hate each other. What do the Muslims and the feminists have in common? Muslims treat women like you know what, okay? And with regard to gays and lesbians and transgenders and the Muslims, I mean, radical Muslims would like them dead, okay? That's what they do in Iran and other places. If they don't become males, if they're females, or females if they're males, they kill them, okay? So we're not only going to have to take them on, but then they're going to start fighting with each other over control of this country. So it's more than just our health and welfare and safety. It's more than just our financial well-being. These leftists are at the gates. They're the barbarians at the gates, waiting to come in to take control. And I believe that, notwithstanding China's criminal acts here, they're using that to take control of this country.
Yeah, I think, Larry, they're playing on everyone's fear. They're using psychological tactics. I mean, if we look back to the last, really major international surprise crisis, I'm thinking of 9/11. And that was so psychologically traumatic to everyone in the United States that it was sort of the pretext to the introduction of the Patriot Act. And you have been very active in working hard to protect Americans' civil liberties that the Patriot Act just totally decimated. And I mean, a lot of people who watch Crowdsource the Truth are emailing me wondering if this coronavirus panic is a precursor to martial law. If people are so afraid of getting sick that they're fighting over toilet paper, which makes no sense. You do not need toilet paper in a survival situation. If you had no toilet paper, you'd live a lot longer than if you had no water or no food.
Well, it's a problem. When I was a young student in France in 1972, I lived with a woman there, Madame Donier, may her soul rest in peace. And she didn't have toilet paper back in 1972. It wasn't that long after the war. She handed me newspaper, I live with her. We don't have newspaper anymore either, okay, because everything's on the internet.
Well, you could wipe with the internet, perhaps iPads.
Well, I think we're getting wiped. Figuratively speaking, we're being wiped. But you raised an excellent point. Martial law. I don't think we're far away from it right now. I really don't.
No.
I really don't.
No, we're not. Right.
Under FEMA, the president can declare it. Yeah.
Right. Very scary, Larry.
We've never experienced this before, Jason. And I raised this possibility. I don't want to sound too way out here, but is God also teaching us a lesson for our ways right now? He's done it several times in Judeo-Christian history. Whether it was with the Egyptians, in Passover, or whether it was with the plagues that happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. I question whether it's time for us to sober up and whether he's sending us a message. So I'll leave a thought with that. But still, we have to take care of the damage. God helps those that help themselves. And that's why join our class action lawsuit. Go to freedomwatchusa.org and support our cause. This is going to be really expensive with tax-deductible contributions. Jason, thank you for what you do. I urge people to go to Crowdsource the Truth and follow what you do. God bless you.
Thank you, Larry. You too.
Before he was a trial lawyer, he sliced him and diced him.
People used to ask me, Larry, what caused you to start Judicial Watch and now Freedom Watch, given the powerful forces in this country that put you at risk?
In a meat packing plant.
I'm the son of meat packers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I know how to slice and dice.
A very special prosecutor, Larry Klayman.
If you'd like to support Freedom Watch and this radio show, go to freedomwatchusa.org.
The verdict, ladies and gentlemen, is this. We are in a time of crisis. We are in an emergency. The coronavirus is real. Every time it's transmitted, it morphs, it changes. Our scientists can't quite figure it out. The president needs to do many other things. We're going to bring our class action lawsuit. We're going to find out why the intelligence agencies didn't give him advance knowledge of this. Were they trying to take him out? But we also need to stay vigilant here, and we need to do what needs to be done ourselves. And we need not to panic. We got to stay calm. It's one thing about me. I stay calm in crises. We can't be like we're sitting on the deck of the Titanic listening to music as the ship is sinking into the sea. We, the people, must do it for ourselves, not in an anarchistic way, not in a violent way, not in a way that tears the fabric of this country. But this lawsuit that I'm proposing against China and also against the intelligence agencies, needs to go forward. And the judge, whoever gets this case, is going to have the cojones to do the right thing. And we're going to have to make that very clear, peacefully and legally, to him or her. But I need your help. You need to help yourself. You need to help your family. You need to help this country. So go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our Justice League. Enlist in our citizens' peaceful and legal army. Contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions at freedomwatchusa.org on our PayPal. This is something that we need to support. I need to enlist a whole bunch of lawyers throughout this country, not just Larry Klayman. There'll be a lot volunteering for this, but there's going to be a lot that I have to pay. There's filing fees. There's depositions. There's travel. I have to protect my own health. There's security, their health, your health. So we need your financial support. To go to freedomwatchusa.org. We're not selling a pie in the sky here. There are some people out there. It was reported, I don't know if it's true or not, that Alex Jones is selling, one of his so-called products that will cure coronavirus. Alex is going to find himself in the slammer probably if that's true. But we're doing something here which is legitimate. We're seeking peaceful and legal means to hold the Chinese accountable, the Chinese government, not the Chinese people. And they have trillions of dollars of assets in this country. They should pay. The American taxpayer should not pay. The American taxpayer should be there trying to protect theirself and their family. But we all need to stay calm. And we do need to know that God's behind us, whether or not he's sending us a message right now to either shape up or ship out, as he's done many times in world history, documented in the Bible, Old Testament, the New Testament, and even after that, those were written over the centuries after that, is that we, the people, need to do it for ourselves. We've never faced a potential crisis like this. This has the potential of wiping out all of mankind, notwithstanding the United States. It's not an overreaction. We don't know what this virus is about yet. It's unknown. And the president needs to cut red tape at the FDA. We need an effort like the moon landing to, in a matter of weeks, 2 weeks max, to develop some kind of medication here. And we need to be able to make that available. People, if they want to do it, if they want to take it themselves, they should be allowed to do it. For a long time, people that were gay and lesbian and otherwise, they couldn't take an HIV virus for AIDS, and they were dying. And that wasn't right. And it was the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, that I used to represent at the Justice Department as a lawyer, a young lawyer, who prevented that. We need to also clear regulatory hurdles now for people to take whatever they want to take. And it's their right to do it. It's their body. Talk about a woman's right to choose. No, she doesn't have a woman's right to choose to kill unborn, but people do have a right to choose with regard to fighting off the coronavirus. So I want you to go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our Justice League. Can't say it enough. Contribute to our cause. Be part of our citizens' peaceful and legal army. We will rise up. We will succeed. With God's grace and his guidance, we will restore this country to greatness. It is now on the edge of destruction. And make no mistake about it. Just look around you and see what's happening. We've never seen this before in our entire history. So, again, share this radio show. Share it with everybody. Listen to our daily podcasts. Share it. Social media won't do it. I'm limited on YouTube. I'm limited on all these other. They do that with conservatives. You share it. You can find it at freedomwatchusa.org, Spotify, iTunes, Patreon, Amazon Fire, Roku, Facebook. Share it. Get the word out. The clarion call, a legal call to arms. And join me at freedomwatchusa.org. God bless you. God bless your family. God save America and keep you healthy. Until next week, for another edition of Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman.